Welcome to Grand Sumo Breakdown,
the unofficial sumo podcast
for official sumo fans.
Welcome to Grand Sumo Breakdown. This is Ryan.
This is Jake.
And this is our review of the November Banzuke that came out just a little under a week ago. Wow, I don't know what else to say. Mac isn't here.
I always come into these episodes with a gimmick, intentionally or not, and today I took a nap. So I am still waking up.
It's 2020. You deserve a nap. We all
deserve a nap.
Yeah. But Mac is not here. He did provide us with a Banzuke prediction, so we'll kind of go over how he did towards the end and maybe sprinkle in a couple tidbits of predictions where we differed. But he had a last-minute call to work, so sad that he won't be here. But we will go forward as always with Jake and I, mostly I, as we go over the Banzuke, how I did, and just some curious points that we saw on it. So with that being said, let's start as always with the Yokozuna, where we have Hakuho on the east side and Kakuryu on the west side. Moving down to Ozeki, we have 3 Ozeki now with the addition of Shodai. So East 1 is Takakesho, West 1, Asanoyama, East 2 is going to be Shodai. His career high rank, obviously, as this is his first basho as an Ozeki, and as per tradition, he will be the lowest rank Ozeki, as all new Ozeki are the lowest rank.
Yes, and unfortunately, the Yokozuna Deliberation Council did not take into account our trolling letter to try and get Fleric to go off the deep end. They did not promote Shodai straight to Yokozuna, unfortunately.
I don't know why they would ignore that. It was very politely written, and I can only imagine the best Japanese. Jake, you wrote it up for us, so I can only imagine that you did it correctly and all of that fun stuff.
Yes, I said please, and I don't know what else there is.
Jerks. Every last one of them. So we will move on to the Sekiwake rank, where Mitake Yumi will shift over from the West Sekiwake to be the East Sekiwake after his disappointing 8-7 performance. And then we will have Takanosho. This is going to be his first time in the Sanyaku ranks, and he's making that debut as a Sekiwake. Obviously, his career high rank after, I believe it was a 10-5 record from Maegashira 1 in the previous tournament. So I think I'm going to give Jake a little bit of a homework assignment here. For Takanosho being a Sekiwake now, I think we need to know a little bit more about him. So for a preview episode, Jake, I want you to do a little deep dive into Takanosho and kind of give us some more information, because I still feel like I barely know anything about the guy.
I might, but only because I want to and not because you told me.
Of course. I would expect nothing else. And so at the Komosubi rank, so we've had the Yokozuna Ozeki rank. So this is going to be kind of like a first time rank. This is the Komosubi Ozeki rank, as we have on the east side Takanosho and on the west side Takayasu. 2 former Ozeki are now trying to battle their way back up the Banzuke to the Ozeki rank once again, but making a pit stop at Komosubi. So Takanosho had that 8-7 record from Maegashira 1. Takayasu had a 10-5 record from Maegashira 6.
And Takanosho, important to note, he missed the last 3 days, just recouping his obvious injuries that were obviously obvious from like years ago.
Yeah. He has been practicing quite a bit, so I would expect to see fully gung-ho, ready to go Takanosho for the November tournament, which we all would like to see. Now, we're going to move on to the Zone of Death. By the way, perfect predictions, just absolutely spotless from me so far. Could not speak more highly of myself. Mac's computer somehow stumbled into a perfect set of predictions so far as well. Don't know how he managed that, but I'm sure that's going to change sometime soon. But we're going to get to Maegashira 1, which is my favorite rank for this basho, because on the east side, we have exciting newcomer Kiribayama at Maegashira 1 East, a career high rank for him. And then on the west side, Wakataka Kage, another exciting newcomer at his career high rank. So Kiribayama had a 9-6 record from the Maegashira 5 rank, and Wakataka Kage had an 11-4 record from Maegashira 8. And Kiribayama's is even more impressive as he missed 2 days and then came back and won 3 straight to not only salvage his Kachikoshi record, but to push it to even 9 wins.
Including that Fusen, that would be 3 full days that he missed.
True. Yeah, exactly. So very impressive performance from Kiribayama. Not hearing the greatest of reports about his shoulder in training, but we'll dig deeper into that in our preview episode. But very excited about that Maegashira 1 rank for the November tournament. Both of those predictions absolutely nailed. Maegashira 2 on the east side, we have Onosho jumping up, I believe, 7 ranks from the Maegashira 9 rank after a 10-5 record, and Daisho is going to be dropping from the Sekiwake rank to the west Maegashira 2 spot after a 5-10 record for him. So just a one and done go at the Sekiwake rank for Daisho after a disappointing Aki tournament. Once again, couple of perfect predictions from myself, and I believe Mac is still perfect in his computer's prediction as well. I will not give Mac credit, his computer's credit. Maegashira 3 on the east side, another career high as Kagayaki is making it to the Maegashira 3 rank for the first time in his career. And that is going to be my last perfect prediction to start off the Banzuke. So that is 9, 11, like 12 or 13 in a row. I'll take that to start off the Banzuke. That's pretty good. Better than last time. So we'll be happy with that. But then we get to Oki no Umi at Maegashira 3 West, who I'm making a luck of the Banzuke candidate because I predicted a pretty generous fall for Oki no Umi with only a 4 rank drop after a 4-11 record. But I wasn't this generous for only a 3 rank drop. So I was kind of curious, how often has this happened? So it's only happened 3 times in the 31 occurrences of a Komosubi having a 4-11 record in the past 23 years. And in fact, one of those was just about a year ago. I think it was Miyogiryu. Might have been Tamawashi. But one of those guys had a 4-11 record as a Komosubi and only dropped to Maegashira 2, which is absolutely crazy to me. But that Maegashira 2 or 3 has only happened 3 times in the past 23 years. So it doesn't happen often. But I did find in the mid-90s, this drop was a lot more common for a Komosubi falling to Maegashira 3, because that happened 5 out of 8 times between 1993 and 1997. So maybe not as rare of a thing as we think. And I think it's mostly because he was in the Sanyaku ranks, and they tend to fall a little more softly than other guys.
Yeah, and this is definitely a spot where there was some funky rank changes. Because Oki no Umi is much higher than you would expect him to be. So is Kagayaki, though, because he got a 3 ranks for 8 and 7. Just kind of this spot on the Banzuke turned out to be a lucky one for, I think, both guys at Maegashira 3.
Yeah.
Kagayaki is unfortunately in a position where he might get an accolade to his name for the first time ever.
You think he's going to beat a Yokozuna?
No. I'm just saying he's in a position for it where he's never been in a position to get a Kinboshi before.
He has. He was at Maegashira 4 a couple basho going. That's good enough to face a Yokozuna right now.
Fair enough. It's not going to happen, just like it's not going to happen that he's going to get any special prizes or anything. But
right.
I guess it was, I don't know. I would prefer Kagayaki to be based on this Banzuke, maybe Maegashira 15, 16.
That makes sense after an 8 and 7 record at Maegashira 6. Yeah.
It's just where I prefer him to be. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. So yeah, like Oki no Umi, I had Hokuto Fuji going in his spot, and Hokuto Fuji ended up being Maegashira 4 East. So I was only off by half a rank on Hokuto Fuji. But when you compare like a 4-11 record to a 6-9 record, when there's only really 2 ranks between them, typically you would see that guy with the 6-9 record be ranked ahead of the guy with the 4-11 record in the next tournament. But because I firmly believe it's just because Okinoumi's rank was a Sanyaku rank, he got a little bit of extra luck and kind of stymied his fall down the Banzuke. So Hokuto Fuji is going to be our last member of the Joy, the top 16 Rikishi in the Banzuke. So we're going to move on to the mid Banzuke portion, where on the west side, we have one of my tied for my biggest miss on this Banzuke, and that is Toby Zaru. Another career high for him. I'm going to make him a luck of the Banzuke candidate as well. But he is the first of two guys that I missed by 2 full ranks, because I had Toby Zaru coming in at Maegashira 6 West. I do got to give Mac some credit. He did nail, his computer nailed this prediction. But my reasoning for putting Toby Zaru so low, and this is a 10 rank jump for Toby Zaru after an 11-4 record at Maegashira 14. So I only had him going up 8 ranks. My reasoning was that this Banzuke was actually kind of really similar to Aki's, where due to an extreme lack of Rikishi with winning records in like Maegashira 1 through 3, we had to demote the upper Maegashira Rikishi less than we would like, hence Okinoumi only dropping 3 ranks after a 4-11 record. So I kind of thought that trend of dropping people lower than they deserve would continue on with guys like Tamawashi and Tochinoshin and like even Miyogiryu at Maegashira 3 with a 6-9 record. I didn't think they were going to drop this far, but there is a key difference between what happened with Aki and what happened with this one. So we didn't have a guy like Toby Zaru in the lower Maegashira ranks with 11-4 record, disregarding Terano Fuji, who jumped all the way up to Maegashira 1. So he had an absolutely huge jump, but he won the Yusho, so you can't really compare the two. So what happened in Aki, there were a lot of guys with 10-5 records that jumped up 7 ranks. And I think only having Toby Zaru with a better record than that, jumping up 8 ranks, was a mistake on my part, an oversight on my part. I should have known that they would bump him up higher so that they could give the people who needed demotions the demotions that they deserved. So mistaken judgment on my part here. Just I said joy bias quite a bit on our preview episode, and it turns out I said that a bit too much.
Just like we expect from the top Gyoji, I will accept your apology in the form of seppuku post-recording.
Well, we'll discuss that further when we get to your prediction for what my worst guess would be. And
No. I specifically remember waffling last time so hard that you can't count me for anything on this one.
I listened
the Ryan show.
I listened back to the end of the episode twice, and I think I figured out who you ended up with.
Then you remember more than me.
Yeah. Oh, by far. Yeah. I'm the only one who listens back to our podcasts. So yeah, Toby Zaru, missed him by 4 spots. So that is going to tie him with one other Rikishi for the biggest misses that I had on this Banzuke. So moving on to Maegashira 5 East, Miyogiryu dropping 2 spots after a 6-9 record from Maegashira 3. And we have Kodo Shoho jumping up 7 ranks from Maegashira 12 to Maegashira 5 West after a 10-5 record. So Kodo Shoho is the other guy that I missed by a full 2 ranks. I had him going at Maegashira 7. I compared this Banzuke so much to Aki. I should have known that he was going to jump up 7 ranks after the 10-5 record, just like everybody did last time. Jake, why are you combing your mustache?
Well, I told you I was taking a nap, right? I slept on my face a little bit, so my mustache is messed up.
Yeah, but it's like 8 o'clock at night. Who's going to... Katie doesn't care how well coiffed your mustache is at 8 o'clock at night.
Yeah, well, I care because when it's uncoiffed, those stray hairs go and they tickle my brain. They go right up my nose. I have a very long mustache right now.
As somebody else that has a very long mustache right now, I understand your pain.
Just don't nap on your face if you can help it.
Well, I don't nap, so there's that. Let's move on to the Maegashira.
That's right. You have a child. You don't sleep at all.
Oh, I never napped before. I mean, if we want to go into a little segue where I talk about how amazing my daughter is and how she already sleeps through the night at just under 2
Okay, so at Maegashira 6, I don't even care, but let's go back to it.
We have Takada Fuji dropping 1 rank after a 7-8 record. I did accurately predict that guy, so after a string of bad misses, got back on the board with a perfect prediction for Takada Fuji, but then we just get back to bad misses with Tamawashi off by a rank and a half for me because I expected him to go Maegashira 5 East. So Tamawashi is kind of leading the group of 3 Rikishi that I missed by a rank and a half. And that's mostly going to be resulting from me missing so badly on Toby Zaru and Koto Shoho. So moving on to Maegashira 7 East, we get to Tochinoshin, who is the second guy that I missed by 3 spots due to misplacing Toby Zaru and Koto Shoho so badly. So Tochinoshin is dropping down 3 ranks after a 6-9 record. And then on the west side, we get to Endo, who this is kind of going to probably be a rare instance, but I'm going to give him a snub of the Banzuke, even though he's being ranked higher than what I predicted. And the reason that I'm giving Endo a snub of the Banzuke candidacy is because it's interesting when you compare him to Oki no Umi. So both of these guys were Komosubi in the previous tournament, and both of them had dismal records. Oki no Umi had a 4-11 record. Endo had a 3-12 record. Why did Oki no Umi only drop 3 ranks and Endo dropped 7 ranks? There's only 1 win difference between the two of them, so you'd only expect there to be a 1 to 2 rank difference between the two of them. I don't know if maybe the fact that Endo got injured and they don't like that kind of accounted for them punishing him harder than they did with Oki no Umi. Because I mean, we could have easily treated Endo like Oki no Umi. We could have just switched Endo and Tamawashi, made Endo Maegashira 6 West and Tamawashi Maegashira 7 West. Then Tamawashi drops 5 ranks after 5 and 10. Perfectly reasonable. And then Endo can drop down 6 ranks after a 3-12, which isn't a reasonable drop for him, but then it's more comparable to what happened with Oki no Umi. I mean, you could even put Endo as high as like where Koto Shoho is and then just drop everybody behind him down a half a rank just to kind of make that make more sense. I did a little bit of digging to see if there were if like this is always the case that 3-12 gets dropped down this far. Maybe it's just that 1 extra loss just like as a switch in the Banzuke committee's mind where like, no, yeah, we have to punish that guy a lot. But I mean, there is precedent for like a Komosubi in 1997 where Kaio, he only dropped to Maegashira 3 West after a 3-12 record. So there is precedent for not booting these guys down the Banzuke very far. And Kaio even had absences in that 3-12 record. I think he was like 3, 8, and however the math works to get that up to 15. 4. So, I mean, I'm not mad about where Endo is placed because he's only off by 1 spot from where I predicted him to go. I thought he was going to be Maegashira 8 East. I'm just very curious about the disparity in his rank and Oki no Umi's rank. It's curious to me.
Yeah, it's especially egregious because Oki no Umi's winning percentage over the 15 matches that he wrestled, 26.6%. Endo, in the 11 matches that he wrestled, his winning percentage, 27.2%. So
it's a conspiracy, man.
That whole 0.6%, and this is how they treat him. They did my boy wrong.
Endo is your boy now.
No, I don't know. I'm tired still, and it sounded like a silly phrase.
Fair enough. All right, let's move down to the Maegashira 8 rank, where on the east side we will have Aoyama, who is dropping down just 1 rank after a 7-8 record, and we have Teritsu Yoshi dropping down 5 ranks after his 5-10 record from Maegashira 3. So Teritsu Yoshi is the last guy that I missed by a rank and a half, and he's going to be my last guy where I missed anybody by more than a full rank. I thought he was going to get some preferential treatment because he was in the Joy. Obviously not. He got the full punishment that we would expect somebody to get with a 5-10 record.
Somebody who tried Ashitori like 100 times, so maybe he doesn't. Maybe they took away his Joy bias.
Yeah, maybe so. I'm particularly surprised that he is behind Aoyama, who had a losing record at Maegashira 7, and Tetsuyoshi had a losing record at Maegashira 3. I mean, there was only there's a 2-win difference between them, but when they have the 4-rank difference between them, you kind of expect at that point Tetsuyoshi would be ranked ahead, especially because he was in the Sanyaku ranks and faced a much tougher schedule than Aoyama. So that one actually kind of is another head scratcher to me. Just it's a small thing, but it's just kind of weird inconsistencies from Banzuke to Banzuke and even within the Banzuke.
Yeah, I think we should start a new conspiracy theory that Tetsuyoshi and Endo did something to the Banzuke Council.
Maybe. Well, I was going to say maybe they don't like small guys, but you said Endo and not Enho, and so that doesn't really hold water.
Yeah.
So we'll move on to Maegashira 9, where on the east side we have Tokushoryu, and on the west side we have Kodoeko. I had both of these guys ranked at Maegashira 9. I just had them switched east and west side. So this is where I kind of got into the inconsistency from Banzuke to Banzuke, or within the same Banzuke. So Aoyama and Tetsuyoshi, like if you do the math, they both deserve to be ranked Maegashira 8, and they placed the guy that had the better record, Aoyama, on the east side ahead of Tetsuyoshi, who had the worst record. Moved down to Maegashira 9. Both of these guys, mathematically, Tokushoryu with a 7 and 8 from Maegashira 8, and Kodoeko with a 8 and 7 from Maegashira 10. They both deserve to be ranked Maegashira 9. But here, they went with the guy who was higher ranked as opposed to the guy that had the better record on the east side. So I thought they would go with the guy who had the better record, which is why I put Kodoeko over there. But that just shows like the inconsistencies where Aoyama, Tetsuyoshi both deserve that rank. They put the guy that had the better record ahead. Then you come to Tokushoryu, Kodoeko, deserved the same rank, but they put the guy that was previously ranked ahead of him, still ranked ahead of him. I don't know. That's weird to me.
I think I followed that.
And it's actually the exact same story with Maegashira 10. On the east side, you have Ryuden, who is dropping 3 ranks after a 6 and 9 record for Maegashira 7, and you have Meisei, who is jumping up 3 ranks after a 9 and 6 record at Maegashira 13, where you have Ryuden, who was the higher ranked guy the last time, being ranked ahead of Meisei, who had the better record, even though they both deserve to be at that rank. Then we will move on to Maegashira 11, where on the east side we have Sado no Umi, and on the west side we have Enho. So at Maegashira 11 on the preview, I talked about how I was taking a risk by putting Yutakayama at the Maegashira 11 rank because I was comparing this to the Aki Banzuke far too much. He was very similar to Onosho, who was in the Joy, had a 2 and 13 record, and Onosho only fell 7 ranks down the Banzuke. So I figured, I'll just drop Yutakayama 7 ranks down the Banzuke because, Joy bias. That was my whole thing for this one. I should have kept my original draft of my Banzuke because I originally had Yutakayama at Maegashira 12 East, which is where he did end up, and I would have at least gotten Sado no Umi and Enho both ranked at Maegashira 11, whereas right now I just had Sado no Umi at Maegashira 11 and I put Enho at Maegashira 12. So that risk did not pay off for me. It could have cost me 3 perfect predictions.
Shame.
And it also just goes to show you really can't compare one Banzuke to the next. There's just so many minute differences between them, and whatever side of the bed the Banzuke committee will happen to wake up that morning and how they want to move things around. You really can't take too many lessons learned from one Banzuke and say, oh yeah, like these records are similar, so I'm just going to move them the same amount of ranks. There's too much difference. You really can't do that.
Yeah, it's what I would love to know the answer to someday. Are we overthinking it or underthinking it?
Yes.
Like I have no idea. Like, are there like all these secret factors in there that are going into calculations and that's like affecting people where their placement is? Or on the other hand, is it like, yeah, put them there. Like there's got to be some level. I'm super curious where it is.
Yeah, so I think it's a combination of both. Yutakayama, I definitely overthought myself on that one. My original draft had it correct, and then I'm like, let's tinker around with this. Let's get weird. And that was obviously overthinking. Whereas like with Toby Zaru, I underthought that and should have compared it more to the Aki tournament, him and like Kodo Shoho. So yeah, who knows? It's
Well, I just mean like that's what the Banzuke committee is doing, because clearly there's
gotcha.
yeah, like are they being super complicated and deliberate about it, or are they just being like, screw it, this works? And
I'm not convinced that it's not just them pulling names out of a hat.
yeah, there's got to be some element of like they rotate who does it, or they or like it's like you said, what side of the bed they get up on, because there's the fact that there are differences. And was that just the previous Banzuke where like everybody was super messed up because they threw away all their old patterns?
Yes. Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
So we've
Very
had
strange.
2 in a row that were kind of similar, with like how many Rikshi did poorly at the top of the Maegashira ranks, and like how many like 10-5 records and stuff we had down below. But yeah, who knows? It really does seem like it's different from Banzuke to Banzuke. So it's just super lucky to try to nail it down and find the patterns that are consistent. Needless to say, haven't completely found those yet. But let's move on to Maegashira 12, where on the east side, we do have Yutakayama, who dropped 8 ranks after his 2-14 performance from Maegashira 4. And on the west side, we have Kaisei, who dropped no ranks after his 7-8 record. He will keep his same rank as he had in September, because here we did have kind of a lack of anybody to come up and take his spot. Like the next winning record we had was Hoshoryu with an 8-7 at Maegashira 16, which really doesn't deserve a 4 rank jump. So Kaisei, with just a 7-8 record, gets to keep his spot at Maegashira 12 West, which I accurately predicted, and it actually starts off another small streak for me of perfect guesses. So at Maegashira 13 on the east side, we do have the aforementioned Hoshoryu, who will be at a career high in his second Makuuchi basho. And on the west side, we have Ichinojo, who I'm going to give him a luck of the Banzuke candidacy to, because he did get a 4 rank jump after an 8-7 record, even though I just said people shouldn't be getting 4 rank jumps for an 8-7 record.
That was poetically timed.
For Hoshoryu, we could prevent it by putting Kaisei there. There's really no other like stopgaps to prevent Ichinojo from going up 4 ranks there. Like, you could pull Chiyo no Kuni all the way up from Juryo 11 to Maegashira 13, but instead, let's just put him at Maegashira 14 East, where I predicted him to go. And joining Chiyo no Kuni, the Juryo Yusho winner, we have Koto no Waka, who will be rejoining the Makuuchi division after a 1 basho stint in the Juryo division. So Koto no Waka had a 9-6 record from Juryo 2. So he's jumping up a few ranks up to Maegashira 14. At Maegashira 15 on the east side, we have Chiyo Tairyu dropping down 4 ranks from Maegashira 11 after a 5-10 record. And I am sorry to report, Jake, they are letting Kodo Yuki back into the top division. He got an 8-7 record from the Maegashira, or from the Juryo 2 rank. So Kodo Yuki is back in Makuuchi at Maegashira 15 West.
Coincidentally, I've decided I don't want to watch sumo anymore.
But the top of the Banzuke is so exciting. We've got Takanosho, Wakataka Kage, Kiribayama, Kagayaki's at a career high.
Fine, I'll just turn it on at halfway every day.
Wise move.
Yeah, just to make absolutely sure that I don't have to watch any more Kodo Yuki than I absolutely have to.
And if you're skipping the Kodo Yuki matches, you're also going to be missing the Chiyo Shoma matches, which I'm sure you're not going to lose any sleep over, because Chiyo Shoma is back in the Makuuchi division at Maegashira 16 East. He had a 9-6 record from the Juryo 4 rank. I'm actually very curious, when was the last time he was in Makuuchi? Because it's been a bit.
I need a refresher here, because the way you said it, do I hate him or something? I don't remember.
I think
do I have a grudge against Chiyo Shoma?
I think some of us on the podcast do. I know I do. I think Fleric tends to liking Chiyoshoma because of all of his henkas and dastardly techniques. So Fleric likes all of that stuff. I particularly hate Chiyoshoma because there was a match with him against Hokuto Fuji where like there was a couple of matas to start off, and I think
I remember
Chiyoshoma like shoved Hokuto Fuji back after a mata, and it was just a general dick.
That's right. Yeah, I definitely mix him and the recently retired Arawashi up. Not just because they look identical, but also because they kind of wrestled similarly.
Yeah,
They were both very tricksy guys, and I honestly have a lot of trouble remembering Chiyoshoma specifically, apart from Arawashi.
well, I mean, it's actually been longer than I thought that Chiyoshoma's been out of the Makuuchi. So the last time he was in Makuuchi was May of 2019. And then he's kind of just been flirting with returning to Makuuchi for the past year because he was Juryo 3, went 8-7, and then 7-8, and then 8-7, and then 7-8, and then 8-7, and then 6-9, and now he's back in with a 9-6. So we can only imagine that he's going to get like another 6-9, drop down, 9-6, come back, 6-9, drop down, 9-6, come back, 5-10, drop further down. I can only assume that's how his career is going from here on out.
Very poor man's Daisho.
Yes. Then on the west side of Maegashira 16, we have somebody that is making his Makuuchi debut, and obviously a career high for Aqua. Don't know much about him. Going to do a little bit of research into him before a preview episode. I do know that he is a member of, I believe it's the Tatsunami Beya with Hoshoryu and Meisei, and those three guys had the Juryo Tomoe Sen playoff from just a couple of basho ago. That was kind of exciting to see. The three guys competing for the Yusho were all from the same Heya, who can never face each other otherwise. So that was really cool. So Aqua now is going to be in the top division.
A very late top division debut as well. He is 29.
Oh, wow. That's similar to the next guy in the rankings, which is Shima no Umi, your Maegashira 17 East, who I believe he made his Makuuchi debut at like 29 or 30. Hasn't really done a whole lot since, but
yeah,
Shima
it
no
looks
Umi,
like so in May of 2019 was his debut, and he is 31 now.
okay.
So somebody can do the math, but I'm pretty sure he would be 29 at that point.
Something like that. But yeah, Shima no Umi is going to be our last ranked guy in the Makuuchi division. Forgot to brag a little bit. Nailed Dakota Yuki prediction. But yeah, that is the Makuuchi division. So we counted 5 guys coming up from Juryo in Chiyonokuni, Koto no Waka, Koto Yuki, Chiyoshoma, and Aqua. That means 5 guys are being demoted, and there's some big names being demoted down to Juryo. The headliner is Koto Shogiku, the former Ozeki, going down to Juryo. I think a lot of people expected him to retire. He says nay. He has more in the tank, so Koto Shogiku will be competing in Juryo. Also had Ishiura, douchebag Abi, Sho Hozan going down to Juryo for the first time in a very long time, I would suspect. And Kyoku Taisei going back down to Juryo after suffering what looked to be a pretty bad injury when he made his return to Makuuchi in Aki.
Less time than you think for Sho Hozan.
Oh, really?
2015, but that was very brief. From 2011, he's been in the top division except for 3 tournaments.
Okay. Yeah, I kind of expected him. It would be like since 2004 or something like that.
Yeah. Koto Shogaku is probably pretty close to that. Let's take a look here. Looks like 2005. Completely different. You were way off.
All right.
You call yourself a Banzuke predictor.
I do, but we're going to get into some stats that show that I'm not doing as well as I would like. So I got 20 perfect predictions out of a possible 42. So that's only a 48% bullseye rate. Like I said, not doing as well as I would like because my previous best is 72 bullseyes. 72% bullseyes. If I got 72 out of 42, that'd be impressive. I also had 7 Rikishi at the correct rank, but on the wrong side. So I got 27 total Rikishi at the correct rank, a 60% hit rate. We want to be doing better than that. Here we'll check in with how Mac did overall. Mac's computer. So Mac's computer did fairly well. Got 19 bullseyes out of a possible 42, 45%. Not nearly as good as my 48%. He also had 8 at the correct rank, but on the wrong side. So that gives Mac's computer a total of 27 total at the correct rank, which is the same as me, which is unacceptable to me. We also had a listener request that I share how I did in Kitamayama's Guess the Banzuke game, just so they can brag about when they beat me. And so you probably beat me this time. I was ranked 72nd out of 130 entries. So I was on the bottom half of that this time, which is, like I said, very disappointing.
Shameful.
Overall, my rank in that game is 24th. So not nearly as bad as that 72. I'm just in a bad stretch these past couple of basho. Prior to these past 2 predictions. Oh my God. Okay. My cat is using his claws to climb on me. Oh my God. Get off of me, Teddy.
I'm so happy that we did video chat for this one.
Ow! Let go. Settle on my lap. You don't need to be on my shoulders. You're too fat for that anyways.
You're saying that you're not strong enough to hold up a cat?
Not this one. This guy's a beefcake.
Yeah, I think both cats in your house and both cats in my house are just absolute linemen.
They're units.
Yes.
So yeah, like I was saying, a bad stretch for me in guessing the Banzuke these past 2 basho. The prediction just prior to these 2, it was a top 10 prediction on Guess the Banzuke. So I'm not usually this poor. So my overall, how I did with just how far I was off with everybody, I missed by a total of 38 slots, which my previous best is being off by 12 total slots.
That one was an outlier, but it is still the measuring
but it
stick.
Still happened.
Yes, your normal range, just going through here, looks like it's between 0.7 and 1. So you're kind of on the rough end of your normal range. It's not as bad as a couple. Like last time, you were just a hair over 1 for your average error. Hatsu of 2020, you had a 1.3. That might be the worst one you had for a long time. But yeah, generally this is kind of on the rough edge of normal. So it's not a catastrophe compared to like your average performance. But yeah, I expected better from you.
Yeah, we definitely want to get back in the range of where I'm only missing like 20 total ranks. So that would be nice to get back there. So don't lose faith in me, loyal listeners. I know what I'm talking about sometimes. We're just going through a rough patch. We'll get back, baby. Don't leave me.
Make sure, listeners, do make sure to give Ryan the toughest imaginable love. Like I'm talking, I want him to be crying himself to sleep until his next Banzuke. Like it's the only way to really reach this child these days.
I mean, you're imagining that I'm not already crying myself to sleep, which happens on the reg. So let's dive back into the outline that for some reason I closed. So let me reopen that. Just top-notch preparedness on
you were going to bring up your worst guesses, which were Toby Zaru and Koto Shoho, both at 4, which is not all that bad. That's also within the realm of normal, is having somebody 4 slots off. That's not bad.
Yeah. I think my best all-time worst guess on a Banzuke was 3, so this isn't too far off from that. I really want to make it where sometime I only missed a guy by a full rank. Next time, I promise.
Yeah, and this time, it wasn't that you had guys way far off. It's that you had those 2 4s and a handful of 3s in there.
Yeah, exactly. So just kind of going overall, the stats from this Banzuke, our biggest jumpers are Chiyo no Kuni up 14 ranks from Juryo 11 up to Maegashira 14, and Toby Zaru up 10 ranks from Maegashira 14 to Maegashira 4. Our biggest droppers are going to be Kodo Shogiku, who is dropping 9 ranks from Maegashira 11 down to Juryo 3, I believe.
Yep.
And then we have Yutakayama dropping down 8 ranks from Maegashira 4 to Maegashira 12. We have 9 Rikshi that are going to be at their career high. Shodai, Takanosho, Kiribayama, Wakataka Kage, Kagayaki, Toby Zaru, Koto Shoho, Hoshoryu, and Aqua. One Rikshi making his Makuuchi debut in Aqua. Our snub of the Banzuke is going to be Endo. He's the only guy that I could think of making a stub of the Banzuke, and it is solely because of the disparity between his rank and Oki no Umi. And for that reason, Oki no Umi is our luck of the Banzuke winner. So Jake, as always, makes a guess as to what my worst guess will be. And he did not think Chiyo no Kuni was going to rise through the ranks like he did up to Maegashira 14 East. Unfortunately for Jake, I nailed that prediction. Just absolutely spot on.
Like better than your other ones that you had exactly correct. Somehow this one was more so.
It just makes me feel good to show you how dumb you are in the world of the Banzuke. It's just fun for me.
I'd put up more of a stink about it, but again, nap. Like I'm just ruined for the rest of the evening as far as snark goes, basically.
That's fair. So gonna do something that we're at the end of the Banzuke stuff. So if you don't care about like fun, you can turn away now. But I actually
do have one other announcement for later, but I'll just have that at the very end.
Yeah. So we recently did our spooky Halloween episode, and that went a lot longer than we thought it was going to. And I was planning on surprising everybody with a little Halloween quiz. But since our preview episode is going to be coming after Halloween, this is going to be our last one before Halloween. So let's do it now, Jake, because it's only going to be timely now. So
hey, just a heads up. I have been helping create a Halloween quiz for a different podcast.
Oh, have you?
Yeah. So
for like,
so you should bother someone else with this.
Well, I mean, it's probably very different from the one that I did.
Well, when I said I had an announcement for later, friend of the show and frequent collaborator and also wife of me, Katie, is going to be joining a podcast we've mentioned several times on this show, Semi-Sages of the Pages, which is co-run by a college friend of all of us, Molly. But so the hosts of that show are participating in a Halloween quiz that Katie is going to MC for them, so that they can have all 4 of their normal co-hosts competing against each other. With that being said, there are a select couple areas of this coming quiz that Ryan's about to give me that I might nail just because of the research I've been doing to help. But for the most part, I'm probably going to suck.
Okay, so my quiz is, I did a Google search for fear of blank. When I fill in that blank, did that Google search yield a result for an actual phobia name? So, Jake, when I Google searched fear of washing machines, did I get an actual phobia that popped up?
God, I hope not. No.
Yes, it is plintyphobia. So there is a plintyphobia.
What the hell?
Plintyphobia? But yeah,
how can there possibly be like a Greek or Latin word that means washing machine?
I don't know. Like I said, these are all things that I'm just like, people are afraid of weird stuff. Will they be afraid of this? And sometimes, yes. And I'm not lying. I see you Google searching right now.
I know, because I need to know what that means. Where does this Latin come from, or whatever it is? It's so friggin' stupid.
Well, save it. We'll go through the rest, and then you can look them up later and report back to us on the preview episode.
I need to figure this out right now. No, okay, fine. Go ahead.
If I Google search fear of pumpkins, will I get a phobia name back?
Yeah, probably.
Yes, you will. It is cucurbitophobia. Something like that.
Like something like a pumpkin or a gourd or whatever. Sure, that's been around long enough that we should have Greek or something for it, right? God, okay, that one That one's okay. I'll accept that one. I'll allow it.
I like that your hatred of these is not like, why would anybody be afraid of a washing machine or a pumpkin? It's like, the Greek people couldn't have possibly had a word for this.
You know, I borderline have a panic attack whenever I have a dentist appointment coming up, so I can kind of understand some weird shit. All right.
All right.
I can give a little bit of leeway to that one. The washing machine's okay. Maybe not that one. We'll see.
Right.
We'll see. But go on.
If you Google search fear of pillows, will you get a result?
Yeah.
No, that is one that did not find a name for fear of pillows. What about a fear of public toilets?
I mean, does it count as a phobia if everyone has it?
Fair enough. So I kind of this one is kind of indirect. So I didn't find like a fear specifically of public toilets, but a paruesis is a fear of peeing with other people around, and then a parcopresis is a fear of pooping with other people around. So kind of tangentially, we got there.
Yeah. So I don't think I gave an official answer, but because it didn't have an official answer, maybe whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll count that one as a maybe.
Fear of clouds, not clowns, clouds.
Yeah, I bet that's on there.
It is Nephophobia. What about a fear of puppies?
I believe that is commonly diagnosed as sociopath.
So,
but yeah, that's probably a fear of puppies or kittens or small animals or something.
So I'm giving this one a no, because when I Google search fear of puppies, the only thing that came up was a fear of dogs, which is xenophobia. But I specifically wanted somebody to be afraid of just puppies, but not their adult form, which I couldn't find. So we're good there.
Like, as they grow out of their cutest phase, all of a sudden they become less terrifying.
Yeah, which doesn't make sense, which is good why there were no results that came up for that. What about a fear of sweater vests?
I can definitely relate to this one in the sense that it gives me it gives me some sort of like weird discomfort around people who wear sweater vests, like a coworker who just does that, and kind of like it tells you more about his personality that he just does that.
Yeah.
But I will say no, that seems too specific and silly.
You are correct. It is too specific and silly. And our final one, a fear of marshmallows.
Oh, for sure. Marshmallows are terrifying.
Yeah. Altiophobia.
Of course. Yeah. No, I knew that one.
Yeah. So that is all I have. That was a taste of the Halloween quiz that I had prepared. I had other questions, but we don't need to go through those. They're not as fun.
I got one for you.
Okay.
Just because it will be slightly up your alley, but still you may or may not get it. Which single one of the 32 NFL football teams is named for horror fiction?
The Baltimore Ravens, Edgar Allan Poe.
Damn, nice. You got it.
Yep. Don't test my knowledge of the NFL, buddy.
Yeah.
So that is going to wrap up our Banzuke review / Halloween fun time episode. So if you enjoy, or if you have a irrational fear of anything, me with my fear of bugs. Jake, do you have any like legit actual fears?
Well, other than the dentist one, not in the way of like actual probably should seek therapy about it. No, I don't think so.
Okay.
By the way, I think the closest I can find to fear of podcasts would be radiophobia.
Oh, okay. Well, if you have radiophobia, a fear of bugs, or any other fear, leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcast listening service.
See, you glossed right over your fear of bugs right there.
Yeah, what is that called?
Oh, I'm sure that one's something terrifying for you. Entomophobia.
That makes sense.
Entomo being like the prefix for bugs, entomology.
Yeah. I quite legit have entomophobia.
There you go. Something Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and blog. Grand Sumo Breakdown at gmail.com.
If you have any questions, comments, or corrections, or you can leave us a voicemail at 805-613-7866. That is 805-613-SUMO. The November tournament, which will be held in Tokyo, not in Fukuoka, as it is usually held, will be beginning on Sunday, November 8th. We will be releasing our preview episode probably Wednesday the 4th or Thursday the 5th. We should be recording that on Tuesday. So until then, we will see you all later.
Thank you for listening to Grand Sumo Breakdown. Until next time,
Throw your salt high.
And keep moving forward.